In the annals of Christian history, few figures stand as tall as Saint Stephen, the first martyr of the early church. But what if I told you that his story is more than just a tale of religious devotion? It's a gripping narrative of courage, conviction, and controversy that would make even the most hardened skeptics sit up and take notice. Picture this: Jerusalem, circa 34 AD, streets are buzzing with tension as a new religious movement threatens to upend centuries of tradition. At the center of it all stands Stephen, a man whose words would ignite a firestorm and change the course of history forever. Stephen wasn't just any ordinary follower of Jesus. He was a man of extraordinary faith and wisdom, chosen by the apostles themselves to serve as one of the first 7 deacons of the church. But it wasn't his administrative skills that would make him a legend. It was his fiery speeches and unwavering commitment to his beliefs that would ultimately lead to his downfall. As we delve deeper into Stephen's story, we'll uncover the shocking truth behind his arrest, the dramatic trial that followed, and the brutal execution that would cement his place in history. We'll explore the political and religious landscape of first-century Jerusalem and how Stephen's actions sent shockwaves through the entire region. But Stephen's tale doesn't end with his death. His martyrdom would have far-reaching consequences, inspiring countless others to take up the cause and spreading the message of Christianity far beyond the borders of Judea. And as we'll see, the ripple effects of his sacrifice are still felt to this day. So buckle up, history buffs and truth seekers alike. We're about to embark on a journey through time, uncovering the hidden details and surprising twists in the life and death of Saint Stephen. Now, let's set the stage for our protagonist. Stephen was a Hellenistic Jew, meaning he was of Greek cultural background but Jewish by religion. This unique position allowed him to bridge the gap between different communities within the early Christian movement. He was known for his eloquence and his ability to debate with the best minds of his time. But Stephen's rise to prominence wasn't without controversy. As one of the 7 deacons chosen to oversee the distribution of food to widows in the early Christian community, he quickly became a target for those who saw the new faith as a threat to the established order. It wasn't long before Stephen found himself in hot water. His passionate preaching and miraculous works drew the attention of the Synagogue of the Freedmen, a group of Jews from Cyrene, Alexandria, Cilicia, and Asia. They couldn't stand against Stephen's wisdom and the spirit by which he spoke, so they resorted to underhanded tactics. False witnesses were brought forward, accusing Stephen of blasphemy against Moses and God. It was a serious charge, one that could carry the death penalty. But Stephen wasn't about to back down. When brought before the Sanhedrin, the Jewish high court, he didn't cower or plead for mercy. Instead, he launched into one of the most audacious speeches in biblical history. Stephen's defense, as recorded in Acts chapter 7, was no mere apology. It was a masterful retelling of Jewish history, from Abraham to Moses to Solomon. But here's where things get interesting. Stephen wasn't just recounting history. He was reinterpreting it through the lens of Jesus Christ, effectively turning the accusations of blasphemy back on his accusers. As Stephen's speech reached its climax, the tension in the room must have been palpable. He accused the religious leaders of being stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears, always resisting the Holy Spirit. He called them out for persecuting the prophets and even murdering the righteous one, Jesus Christ. The reaction was swift and violent. The members of the Sanhedrin were furious, grinding their teeth in rage. But Stephen, full of the Holy Spirit, looked up to heaven and saw a vision of Jesus standing at the right hand of God. When he declared this vision, it was the last straw for his accusers. In a frenzy of anger, they rushed at Stephen, dragged him out of the city, and began to stone him. It's worth noting that this was not a legal execution. The Sanhedrin had no authority to carry out capital punishment under Roman law. This was a mob action, fueled by religious fervor and unchecked rage. As the stones rained down on him, Stephen displayed an extraordinary level of forgiveness. He called out, "Lord, do not hold this sin against them." It's a moment that echoes Jesus' own words on the cross, showing the depth of Stephen's faith even in his final moments. Among those present at Stephen's execution was a young Pharisee named Saul, who would later become the Apostle Paul. The impact of Stephen's death on Saul cannot be overstated. It is possible that the seeds of Paul's eventual conversion were planted as he witnessed Stephen's courage and forgiveness in the face of death. The martyrdom of Stephen marked a turning point for the early church. It sparked a wave of persecution against Christians in Jerusalem, forcing many to flee to other parts of Judea and Samaria. Ironically, this persecution ended up spreading the message of Christianity far and wide, fulfilling Jesus' command to be his witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. Stephen's legacy extends far beyond his dramatic death. He is venerated as a saint in many Christian traditions, with December 26th celebrated as St. Stephen's Day in the Western Church. In art and literature, he is often depicted holding stones or wearing a deacon's vestments, symbols of his martyrdom and his role in the early church. But perhaps Stephen's greatest legacy is the example he set for future generations of Christians. His unwavering faith in the face of opposition, his bold proclamation of the gospel, and his Christ-like forgiveness of his persecutors continue to inspire believers to this day. As we reflect on Stephen's story, it's worth considering the broader implications of his life and death. What does it mean to stand up for one's beliefs in the face of overwhelming opposition? How do we balance conviction with compassion? These are questions that resonate not just in religious contexts, but in any situation where principles clash with popular opinion. Stephen's martyrdom also raises intriguing questions about the nature of religious conflict and the power of ideas to shape history. The clash between the emerging Christian movement and the established Jewish authorities in Jerusalem was more than just a theological dispute. It was a struggle that would reshape the religious and cultural landscape of the entire Mediterranean world. But let's not forget the human element in all of this. Stephen was not just a historical figure or religious icon. He was a real person with hopes, fears, and dreams. What must have gone through his mind as he stood before the Sanhedrin? Did he know that his words would seal his fate? And in those final moments, as the stone struck his body, did he have any inkling of the impact his death would have on the future of Christianity? These are the kinds of questions that keep historians and theologians up at night. And while we may never have definitive answers, the story of Stephen continues to captivate and inspire nearly 2,000 years after his death. So there you have it, folks. The life and death of St. Stephen, a tale of faith, courage, and martyrdom that changed the course of history. It is a story that reminds us of the power of conviction and the enduring impact one person can have on the world. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Dive into the sources, explore the historical context, and draw your own conclusions. Because that's what real history is all about. Not just accepting what you're told, but questioning, exploring, and discovering for yourself. And if you've enjoyed this journey through time, why not hit that subscribe button? We've got plenty more historical deep dives coming your way. From ancient mysteries to modern marvels, we're here to uncover the stories that shaped our world. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep making history.